Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Markets Think Simple. What if I told you there's a bag out there that costs over $70,000? And here's the kicker. Having the money doesn't mean you can actually buy it. Walk into the store and say, "I'd like a Birkin, please," and the sales associate will look at you and say, "I'm sorry, we don't have any available right now. Do you by any chance have a purchase history with us?" That's right. Just to even look at one of these bags, you might need to have already dropped tens of thousands of dollars on other items first, and people still wait years for that chance. No advertising, limited production, not a single sale in 187 years. And yet, Hermès is one of the most profitable luxury companies in the world. So why do people go through all of this just to buy a bag? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Hermès, the company people are lining up and waiting years to give their money to.
This video is not investment advice. It's for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research before making any investment decisions. Any investment decisions are your own responsibility.
When people think about Hermès, the first things that come to mind are the Birkin and the Kelly. These bags have nearly doubled in retail price over the last decade. Hermès raises prices an average of 8% every year. That's roughly in line with the S&P 500's average annual return, a handbag going up in value like a stock index. And what's even wilder, the design has barely changed. The Birkin launched in 1984, and the core design is essentially the same today, just minor material and functional updates over the years. When something never goes out of style, it never looks dated. Because of all this, Hermès bags aren't treated as fashion accessories. They're treated as financial assets. A bag you buy at retail for around $10,000 walks out the door and immediately trades on the resale market for $20,000, $30,000. Straight up bag investing. And this is where Hermès's brilliant psychological game begins. When prices go up, existing owners smile and think, "My asset just appreciated." Meanwhile, people who want one panic and think, "I need to get one before it goes even higher." On top of that, these bags hold up for decades. It's genuinely common for a mother to pass her Birkin down to her daughter, an asset that carries across generations. So, owning an Hermès bag isn't just about having an expensive handbag. It's a signal that you belong to a certain world. People who carry these bags recognize each other without a word. It's a kind of social membership card. But can you just walk in and buy one if you have the money? Not a chance. The popular styles aren't even on display. To get offered a Birkin or Kelly, you typically need to first build up a purchase history: scarves, perfume, clothing. Become a regular, and one day your sales associate might quietly lean in and whisper, "Would you happen to be interested in a Birkin?" Hermès officially denies that any formal system like this exists. They don't show you a list. They just say, "Sorry, nothing in stock right now." There's no officially acknowledged wait list, but plenty of people describe what sounds exactly like an unofficial one operating behind the scenes. This eventually led to a class action lawsuit in the US in 2024. The argument was, "This is unfair. You're basically forcing people to buy other products first." Hermès officially denied it, saying they have no such list and that purchases are open to anyone. The court dismissed the case twice in 2025. Hermès won, but as of 2026, the appeal is still going. It's not fully over yet. So, let's recap where we are. A 40-year-old design with prices going up every year, resale values double or triple retail, bags that last long enough to be handed down through generations, and you need to qualify just to buy one. Is this really just a bag? Which raises one big question. How is any of this even possible? Why can only Hermès pull this off?
To answer that, we need to go back 187 years. Hermès didn't start as the luxury handbag brand we know today. This whole story begins in 1837 in a small Paris workshop where founder Thierry Hermès started crafting saddles and harnesses for horses. In 19th century Paris, a horse was what a car is today, your primary mode of transportation and one of the strongest status symbols you could have. Thierry's craftsmanship was so exceptional that he eventually became a supplier to the court of Emperor Napoleon III. And that era gave birth to the saddle stitch, a hand-stitching technique where even if one thread snaps, the seam never unravels. It's still used on every Hermes bag made today. Thierry lived by one motto: the finest leather, the finest craftsman. That spirit is still Hermes's DNA 187 years later. After Thierry passed, his son Charles Amel took over. The second generation moved the workshop to its current location on Rue de Faubourg Saint-Honoré in Paris in 1880. The flagship store is still at that exact address today, same spot for over 140 years. Then came Émile Hermès, the third generation, and everything changed. Émile wasn't just a craftsman, he was a collector, a world traveler, and someone genuinely open to new ideas. He took the leatherworking expertise built for saddles and applied it to handbags and travel luggage. In fact, Hermès was among the first brands in the world to put a zipper on a bag. Here's a fun detail. That iconic orange Hermès box, it's the brand's signature today, but the original packaging was actually cream-colored. During World War II, France ran out of packaging materials. The only paper left was orange, so they used it out of necessity, and somehow that wartime improvisation became one of the most recognizable brand symbols in luxury history. Then, in 1956, one photograph changed everything. Grace Kelly, Hollywood actress turned Princess of Monaco, was photographed using an Hermès bag to shield her pregnant belly from the cameras. That image ran in newspapers around the world, and women everywhere suddenly wanted that bag. Hermès officially named it after her. The Kelly bag was born. And in 1984, another legend was created. British actress and singer Jane Birkin boarded a flight to Paris. She dropped her bag while putting it in the overhead bin, and everything spilled out. She turned to the person next to her and vented, "I can never find a decent bag. I need something big and practical, but nothing I like exists." The person sitting next to her happened to be Jean-Louis Dumas, the CEO of Hermès. Right there on the spot, he pulled out a napkin and sketched a bag design based on everything she was describing. That sketch became the Birkin bag. From horse saddles to travel luggage to legendary pieces named after a princess and a pop star, the history of Hermès is an extraordinary record of how one stubborn family kept their craft at the center of everything and survived for nearly 2 centuries because of it. One thing never changed through all of it: made by hand, by craftsmen. Hermès has held that principle for almost 200 years, and they've built their entire business structure around it. Let's dig into how that actually works. The biggest difference between Hermès and every other luxury company is that Hermès doesn't think of itself as a fashion brand. They don't even use typical corporate language like divisions or business units. Instead, they use the French word métier, which means a craftsman's area of specialty. The idea is, we're not a company that sells products, we're a company that runs multiple artisan worlds. There are 16 métiers in total: leather goods, silk cercos, fragrance, and more, and each one operates almost like an independent creative studio. As CEO Axel Dumas puts it, creativity comes first. And every single one of those 16 areas is made entirely in-house, no outsourcing. Leather goods are made in French workshops, silk scarves come from their own factory in Lyon, watches from their Swiss subsidiary. The craftsmanship is Hermès's, start to finish. They even manage the raw materials directly. They operate their own crocodile farms. 74% of production happens in France, and 55% is made in company-owned facilities. From raw material to the orange box it ships in, all Hermès. Why go through all that complexity? 2 reasons: quality and supply control. On the quality side, one artisan makes one bag from start to finish. No assembly line, no splitting tasks. A single craftsman cuts the leather, hand stitches every seam, and finishes the bag. A Birkin takes 18 to 25 hours to make. That's more than 2 full workdays for a single bag. And the stitching itself is special. Remember the saddle stitch from the history section? The one where even if one thread snaps, the seam never unravels? It's still used on every Hermès bag made today.
No matter how fast they want to move, there's a hard ceiling on how much they can produce. The second piece is supply control, and this is the real core of the Hermès business model. No single Hermès workshop is allowed to have more than 250 artisans. Once it crosses that number, it stops being a workshop and becomes a factory. And the moment it becomes a factory, it's no longer Hermès. Instead, they just keep building new workshops. There are currently 24 across France, with 3 more planned by 2028. They hire around 500 new craftsmen every year, but nobody goes straight to the floor. Every new hire goes through at least 2 years of training first. Even with all of that, production only grows about 6 to 7% per year, intentionally. Demand is enormous, supply grows slowly. That's exactly why Birkin waitlists exist. That's exactly why resale prices hit 2 or 3 times retail. So how big is this business? Hermès' 2025 revenue came in at approximately $22 billion. 5 years ago, in 2020, it was around $12 billion, so the business roughly doubled in 5 years. Leather goods account for 44% of that, ready-to-wear 28%, jewelry and home goods 13%, silk 6%, with watches and fragrance splitting the rest. Here's something interesting. Jewelry and home goods went from 8% of revenue 5 years ago to 13% today. That's a signal that Hermès is evolving beyond being a bag company, moving toward a brand that can outfit your entire life, from the bag on your arm to the dinnerware in your kitchen. But the truly jaw-dropping number is the operating margin. After all costs, Hermès keeps 41 cents of profit for every dollar of revenue. Let's put that in context. Gross margin, revenue minus the direct cost of making the product, is actually pretty similar across the luxury space. Hermès, 71%, LVMH, 67%, Kering, which owns Gucci, 73%. Relatively close. But operating margin, after advertising, payroll, and overhead, is where Hermès completely separates itself. Hermès, 41%, LVMH, 22%, Kering, 11%. Hermès runs at nearly twice the profitability of LVMH and 4 times that of Kering. Why? Because they barely advertise. The Birkin bag is the ad campaign. 187 years of heritage, Grace Kelly, Jane Birkin, those stories are already everywhere. Every person carrying a Birkin down Fifth Avenue is a walking billboard. No media spend required. Here's how the whole model flows. Artisans make it, limited production creates scarcity, scarcity drives desire, desire markets itself, and more of that money stays in-house than anywhere else in the industry. Hermès isn't just a company that makes beautiful bags, it's a precision profit machine that engineers scarcity through its métier structure, vertical integration, production limits, and near zero reliance on paid marketing. It looks like a pretty bag brand from the outside, but under the hood, it's one of the most carefully designed revenue systems in the world. That's the money-making machine Hermès has been refining for 187 years. But that raises one more question. Does a company this perfect have any real risks? No company is bulletproof, not even Hermès. Here are 4 real ones. The first is product concentration risk. Hermès runs across clothing, jewelry, fragrance, and more, but leather goods, and specifically the Birkin and Kelly, are still the engine driving the brand's identity and the majority of its revenue. If younger consumers shift their tastes, or a new brand comes along and disrupts this space, the whole brand could feel the impact. Luxury moves slowly, but generational shifts in brand loyalty do happen. The second is global economic risk. Luxury is fundamentally a high-end discretionary market. When the economy is strong, spending accelerates. When there's a downturn, premium purchases are often the first to get cut. Rising interest rates, financial market instability, falling asset values, all of these can shake consumer confidence. Hermès' customer base is more insulated than average, but a prolonged global slowdown would still hit the luxury sector broadly. The third is China dependency. About 43% of Hermès' revenue comes from Asia, compared to roughly 33% from Europe and 17% from the US. Chinese consumer spending is effectively the growth engine of this business, but China's economic picture has been shaky lately. In Q1 2025, Hermès' Asia revenue grew just about 1%, a dramatic drop from the double-digit growth the region used to regularly post. If China's economic slowdown drags on, or structural issues like the property crisis and U.S.
No company is bulletproof, not even Hermès.
The fourth is resale market growth and brand image risk. As the Birkin as investment story spreads, more and more buyers are resellers, not end users. A bag purchased at retail for $10,000, flipping immediately on the secondary market for $25,000 or $30,000, is a double-edged sword. Yes, it amplifies the scarcity narrative and keeps Hermès in the cultural conversation, but it also risks turning the brand's image from timeless luxury house into speculative asset class. And on top of that, hyper-realistic counterfeit bags, so-called super fakes, are creating real confusion in the resale market. If buyers start genuinely questioning whether a second-hand Hermès is authentic, that erodes the trust Hermès has spent 180-plus years building. At the end of the day, Hermès is a business with extraordinary brand power and industry-leading profitability, but it's also a company that has to keep carefully balancing product concentration, macroeconomic exposure, China reliance, and the new complexities of a resale-driven market. So, what did you think of the Hermès story today? A tiny saddle workshop in 1837 Paris grew into a company where people wait years to spend $70,000 on a bag. But what Hermès is really selling isn't an expensive bag, it's 25 hours of a master craftsman's time. It's the feeling of owning something that genuinely not everyone can have. It's 187 years of never once running a sale. That kind of stubbornness, compounded over generations, is what built Hermès into what it is today. What does luxury mean to you? Is it about signaling status to the people around you, or is it about owning a physical object that carries 200 years of philosophy inside it? The true value behind that price tag is yours to decide. If you got something out of today's video, don't forget to subscribe and hit like.